Let's start over. Welcome into NHL Tonight First Shift, presented by Navy Federal Credit Union for a Monday, April the 28th, 2025. EJ Radic alongside the coach, Bruce Boudreau. Good to be with you today, buddy.
It's always fun to see you.
Well, it's always fun to see you, and it's apropos that you're here today because we got coaching news.
Anytime there's coaching news, I want to hear it.
It's like the bat signal goes up, and the big B.
That's what it's like at home, right? Yeah. Okay. Who do I call? Who do I call?
That's right. We get you. So let's get right to it. Mike Sullivan out in Pittsburgh. Two-time Stanley Cup champion there. They missed the playoffs the last couple of years. You can see agree to part ways after 10 years in Pittsburgh. Let's hear from Kyle Dubas, who made the change.
After, I think, very careful consideration, discussion, deliberation, that we've parted ways with head coach Mike Sullivan. What I'd first say is that Sully, I think, means a great deal to a lot of the people in the room, a great deal to the community, and we'll move on from the Penguins having left a truly incredible mark on the franchise. The two things can be true, that someone can be a great head coach and that they'll move on to become a great head coach on their next stop, and it could also be time for change here. That was the conclusion that I'd come to. It had been something on my mind during the season, but I have great respect for Sully and just want to see it through to the end of the year and then have discussion with him at the end of the season before having discussions with him and then going through that together.
I think you can see on Kyle Dubas' face there, it's a big decision.
I don't think he was very comfortable making it. I mean, it's a tough decision. Anytime you have to let go one of the best coaches in the game.
But 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row. And, it sounds like they're going to go a little younger with a new team, basically, even though they have the four older guys that are still going to be there. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things where sometimes your voice, it's your message is the same message year after year after year.
And you've lived this. I mean, you've been in four different spots and really all had success in all of them. Mm-hmm. But there does come a time. Do you feel it as a coach?
Sometimes you do. Like you almost feel like, okay, you're coming in and you're giving the same rah-rah speech every day, and the eyes are rolling, and you're sitting there. And I know when I got let go in Washington, George, one of the things he said is, he says, I don't think your message is getting across anymore. And that's one of the reasons we have to let you go. And so I understand it. And they got a veteran team that's been there for a long time, so I can see the message getting a little stale. But he's one of those guys that even if I wouldn't be comfortable if I had a job as an NHL coach anywhere, because they might say, hey, listen, we got to get one of the best in the league.
He's available.
He's available, and and we'll take that chance and let you go. So I mean, it's I don't think Mike's going to have to worry too long before he gets another gig, and he'll probably go wherever he wants to go.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's funny you talk about the message, right? Our mutual friend Barry Melrose said to me years ago, I thought it was very prescient for Melly. He just said, it's not what you say, it's what they hear.
Yeah.
And as you know, right, when they are not hearing it, you could be saying all the right things. If for whatever reason they are not hearing it, it's probably time for a change. Let's talk about the Penguins quick before we talk about Sully, because I do think, and really, Kyle Dubas said it. I mean, two things can be true. I mean, sometimes it's time for a change, and sometimes the guy is going to go somewhere else and do really well, and I think Mike will. But for the Penguins, this is a big move. They've got those older players there. Sidney Crosby's going to call his own shot. I don't think there's any question about that. But I think they've hinted about the idea they would like to maybe move Erik Karlsson out. And you got to wonder about Malkin and Letang there as well. I mean, is this kind of a harbinger, so to speak, of things to come? Because this is a big move to move Sullivan out.
It is. And I mean, again, I think if they could move Karlsson, they would do it.
They will,
And I think if they could move Malkin, they would do it. But I think Letang and Sidney are going to be Penguins for life, and I totally get it and understand it. So I mean, it's it's going to be a new era, I think, and he's. Kyle Dubas has waited for the 2 years that he's been there, and he's let it grow. And now I think he needs to make some wholesale changes in a lot of different areas. And other than those two guys that I mentioned, go in a different direction, because if they keep the same guys, they're not getting any younger.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're still the guys that play the most. And you add other 30-year-olds like Raquel into the mix. I mean, they're probably going to get the same result if they don't try something drastic. So I think Kyle's got to do something drastic this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch what other moves with the personnel take place. Now, about Mike Sullivan, right? He has been long linked to the Rangers, because the Rangers have had these several different coaches over the years, right? They went from Quinn to Gallant to Laviolette, and there was always the talk, well, if Mike Sullivan was available, we'd love to have Mike Sullivan. Well, he is available right now, so it's up to Mike.
And the Rangers need a coach.
And the Rangers need a coach, but he is from Boston. He had coached the Bruins before, and I don't think the Bruins necessarily treated Mike all that well as a young coach there. He got caught up, I think, in changing times in Boston. Let go. It took him a long time to get back as a head coach till he got that chance in Pittsburgh.
He's actually started in Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, there you go.
And they called him up from the American League.
Well, for Pittsburgh. That's what I mean. But he was in Boston and couldn't get an opportunity for a long time. I think those are the two most logical places. In Boston, his son-in-law, Charlie McAvoy, is on the team. I mean, I don't know if that is something that's appealing or maybe not as appealing, because you'd be concerned maybe because of that. But what do you make? Do you think it's the Rangers, or could there be other suitors?
I mean, I think they're the front runner, but I think if you're any other team out there, listen, Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin are both from Pittsburgh when he was the coach.
Yeah.
If Tocchet does not survive there or decides to go there, they've made a lot of moves with Penguins, and this is somebody both of those guys know very well.
Part of the family.
Part of the family. He would be a guy that I definitely consider. And, Jim's not adverse to making decisions no matter what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
So I think that's got to be a spot that would be potentially there if Talk decides to leave, or they decide to let Talk go.
The dominoes are falling, right? And you said it at the top. Somebody who has a coach right now might decide, listen, we can upgrade.
Yeah,
and that changes things. And that's unfortunate. We saw it play out in St. Louis this year, right? Because Jim Montgomery became available, and within a few days, Drew Bannister was out, and I thought Drew was doing okay. He had missing some players there.
Yeah.
Jim Montgomery came in, and now they have played much better. But these are the things that you know better than me. You've seen it play out.
You know what? I agree. And I'll tell you, when I got hired in Anaheim, and the first question they asked at the press conference, why did you make this move? And Bob Murray said, because he was available.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of teams that have got good coaches, but all of a sudden you see your team on the rise, and you can get one of the best coaches, Stanley Cup pedigree and all. And sometimes you sit there and say, you know what, I hate to do it, but I want to get the best right now, and they go for Mike Sullivan.
Yeah, so we will see. It's going to be interesting. It's a big move, but the Pittsburgh Penguins, as we say, they decide to move on from Mike Sullivan. I'm sure that Mike is going to get another opportunity. He's coaching the U.S. team at the Olympics, and Mike Sullivan will be just fine. I think that he's a good coach. He'll do fine. Probably good for a change for him as well.
It'll be more exciting for him. It's not going into the same thing. I'll bet you this year he's going into the year, he says, geez, we're not that good. It's going to be tough to make the playoffs. I think wherever he chooses, it's a new, exciting adventure for him.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see which direction Kyle Dubas decides to go in Pittsburgh. Let's get to the playoffs, Bruce, because we had a crazy weekend of games, but the one I want to go to is the Kings and the Oilers. It was the last game yesterday, and once again, the LA Kings had the lead in the third period. They've had the lead in the third period of all 4 games. But yet here we sit. The series is tied at 2. The Oilers rally to tie it late, win it in overtime. When you're watching the Kings, you coach, you've been in these situations. It seems to me they're sitting back and they're allowing the Oilers to gain momentum in the game. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm saying that they're overplaying some players.
Yeah.
They had 4 defensemen that played over 30 minutes the other night. So to me, it says, okay, why did the Oilers have the puck in LA
overtime.
zone the whole overtime? You know, it's because their guys are tired.
Yeah.
I mean, they had 1 defenseman play 11 minutes, 1 defenseman played 2 minutes. So basically, at the most, they went 5D for almost 80 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's you. At some
There it
point,
is.
at some point, you got to have some faith in the guys, the other guys in the lineup, because they're not used to look at 36, 34, 32, 31.
And listen, these guys are not kids. Edmondson is in his 30s. Drew Doughty is well into his 30s. Gavrikov has never played that much time in his career. You can see Moravari. I don't know what was he opening and shutting the door. I don't know what he was doing. I mean, he's playing 2:26 in the game. Jordan Spence didn't play a lot in Game 3. He did not dress in Game 4. It's a tough spot, Bruce. When you do this, you are saying, I don't have confidence in these players.
Exactly.
What does that mean for the player?
Well, I mean, it says, like, when I go out there, all I want to do is take time. I don't even want the puck.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a play. I don't want to make a mistake. And you know, Roger Nielsen always used to say that one of the reasons he played 4 lines, especially in the playoffs, was because once you get into the playoffs, you never know how long the game's going to last.
Yeah.
And if you've only got 3 lines that you're going with, eventually you're going to get tired and lose the game. And this is, I think, what's happened in the last 2 games. I think the Kings have gotten tired, and when they get tired, they make mistakes, like any team would do.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think they're making more mistakes. And if you look at Edmonton, they're just starting to roll at this time, and they're taking advantage of it. So I think when you get back into LA, I think you're going to see some much better distributed ice time so that they have the energy to play in the third period, because they come out like gangbusters, and for the first half of the game in all 4 games, they've been the better team.
Yeah, and really, it's amazing that this series is tied at 2 right now. And really, the Kings, I mean, the Oilers could be up 3-1 because they almost stole that Game 1 with that crazy comeback, too. So we'll see where it goes. I want to go back to Game 3 because that was one of those turning point moments in the series as well. In the third period, a goal scored by Evander Kane around the net. It's ruled a goal. They go check it. It's a goal. Jim Hiller calls a timeout. Him and his staff look at it. Everybody was kind of like that, you know, of the broadcasters, people doing the game. I'm watching it at home. I think, you know what? I think this is going to be a goal. He hit it. He knocked it in. They decide to challenge it, and when you lose a challenge, this could happen. The Oilers get a power play. The challenge didn't go anywhere. The Oilers got a quick power play goal. Great play, by the way, by Draisaitl and by Bouchard.
Going to the net.
Very clever play there. Kind of fooled the Kings a little bit. But to my point, when you, as a coach, you've been in that situation. You've had to challenge. What did you make of that moment?
Well, I mean, a lot of times when you're doing the challenge, you're very mindful of where you are in the game and what the score is. And I mean, to me, I would have, you know, it's easy for me to sit here and say now, unless you're 100% sure, 100% sure, not 90, 95, you know, and it's pretty hard to call it, because the last thing you want to do is give that team that just scored, if they call it a goal, the momentum to go on the power play, and that's exactly what happened. To me, I'm up 2-1 in the series. I'm living to fight another day, saying, okay, even if it was a bad goal, I can't afford to challenge it just in case something that happened, just like it does happen. But I mean, we've all been there, and I'm telling you, the coach is going to the video coach. Is it illegal? Did he kick it in? Is there interference? And you've got so little time to make the decision, and then you say, oh, what the heck, I'm doing it this way or that way, and you live with it.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, I've sat behind the bench a couple times, and when you sit there, you really see, like, you're like in a little bit of a dugout. It's tight. There's not a lot of room. There's a lot happening there. The clock is ticking. In the end, it didn't work out.
You're listening to the other coach who's got the mic.
Yeah.
And he's getting questions from the video coach, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
And they're and all you're saying is, all I want to know, is it good or is it bad?
Yeah. Should we challenge or not?
And they're coming up with excuses, and the referee is there. Come on, we got to go. We got to go. And then you've got to make the decision, and you got everybody yelling at you.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes it's the right one, sometimes it's the wrong one.
Yeah. And in that case, it did not work out for Jim Hiller, who did take accountable. He was accountable for it afterwards. He said, hey, we thought it was going to work. It didn't happen. They go back home 2-2 now. Game 5 coming up on Wednesday night in LA. When we come back, was a wild night in Colorado on Saturday night, and Gabriel Landeskog putting one home. We'll talk about the Avs next with Eddie O on First Shift.
NHL Tonight, First Shift is presented by Navy Federal Credit Union, official military appreciation partner of the NHL.
The need for speed. Landeskog! Yeah! Oh, Captain! My Captain! Welcome back, Cap! Gabe Landeskog! The Norse god of hockey has made it 3-0 Colorado!
Yes, Landy was dandy in that game number 4, and so were the Avalanche. They rolled in that game. See tonight 2 games on the docket, Lightning and Panthers in South Florida, and then the Avs and the Stars in Dallas. And Eddie O was on the scene calling that one for TNT on Saturday night, and he, as always, kind enough to take the time to join us today. Got your former teammate in Chicago, Bruce Boudreau, here with me today. So, crazy night in Denver. The Avs looking good.
Yeah, well, it's great to be with you guys. Always great to see Gabby and EJ. Thanks for having me. To be in that building and to hear the excitement level as we did for that first home game in Game 3, and then to be in the building for Game 4 and see Gabriel Landeskog just score just a goal scorer's goal, move one way, shoot back the other way. And I mean, it needed to take a perfect shot to beat Jay Gottinger, because he could have easily given up 3 or 4 goals if he was off in that second period, because the Avalanche just totally took it to the Dallas Stars. And but just to think about the psychological battle, not only the physical part, but the psych part of this for the man known as Landy in Colorado, to think about 1,032 days back to the National Hockey League after winning a Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, and just the support from obviously his family, which he's talked about a lot, and then obviously the organization and then the fan base, and then to have him come back and be an impactful player here the last couple of games, and especially getting on the score sheet. And I'm sure there were probably long stretches in this battle back, is could he do it, and if he could, where would he be as far as in his hockey career? Because I don't care what it is, EJ and Gabby, that you take time off away for that long, there's going to be that hesitation. The injury part of that, of going back out there and jumping on a moving freight train come playoff time, but then also too, will the knee hold up in that type of action? So I can't even imagine what he has gone through physically to get back, then also the psychological battle, and then putting it on top of that, you think about the emotional lift that it has given his team. And just an unbelievable story, a great setting, and he doesn't look like he's missed a beat. I'll be honest when you're watching him in person. I mean, he's physical, he's making plays. It's just an incredible story here, one of many in these playoffs so far.
The storylines are plentiful, right? Like, I mean, you could talk about certain different things all day about Landy. Like, the one that gets me, because I know how hard it is when you're injured to come back and get up to speed, but when the game of hockey gets faster every year. And when you're out for 3 years and you don't have preseason, you just come back and play. You play 2 games in the American League, and then you thrust into a series with maybe the fastest team in the league other than yourselves. It's hard to imagine how he's keeping up in doing it, but he's doing it, and to me it's a movie. I mean, it's got to be made.
Yeah, it is. I think it's. I think it's something that a 30 for 30 that might take 60 for 60. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just the whole story it is. And, getting back and just the impact that he has had inside the dressing room. Jared Bednar talked about that, just, the impact that he has had. And, he has a calming effect working with Johnny Forslund and Jody Shelley the other night in Colorado. And just talking about his presence on the bench, just how he's carrying himself and kind of drawing a line in the sand there when Mason Marchman maybe was barking at the bench or whatever. I mean, there's something for experience, but here's a guy that is well rested, so to speak.
Yep.
And he comes in and to your point, Gabby, he jumps on a moving train here, a freight train, and comes in for game 3 and doesn't look out of place. I think his first shift he hit Mikko Rantanen, and then obviously the other night he had the goal and the assist. And I mean, the building Ball Arena was absolutely up for grabs. I mean, I've been in a lot of loud buildings. That was as loud as I've heard any building in the National Hockey League in a very, very long time. So you're right. They make movies about guys like this and this story, and just a tip of the hockey helmet to a guy that has obviously battled through a lot, both on and off the ice. And at the end of the day, as long as the individual is happy and his family is content, that's all we should worry about. And whether he scores another goal or Colorado goes on to win the Stanley Cup, this is a guy that has fought through a lot of adversity, and here he is playing in the greatest hockey league again, and showing very, very well as he did in the first two games that he's played in this series.
Yeah, no question about it, and really an important game 5 tonight. We'll see if Dallas can bounce back. I want to ask
They need their big guys to get going here, EJ. Dallas. They need it. They need a big game from Mikko Rantanen. They need a big game from Rope Hintz.
Yep.
Duchene, I think, has been. I think Duchene has had some glimmers here in a couple of the games. I thought he was good, very good in game 1, which I ended up doing with Kenny Albert and Brian Boucher in game 1 in Dallas. But they need their big guys. And look, we know I haven't heard today what's going on with Miro Heiskanen. Obviously, Jason Robertson out. We know the hand that's been dealt, but I think I look at those two guys, Rope Hintz and Mikko Rantanen. They got to get going here too. Wyatt Johnson, I think, can take a step. I thought Jamie Benn was dynamite in games 2 and 3. I thought Ben, EJ and Gabby, I thought Jamie Benn put his team on his shoulders in games 2 and 3 and got them back into this series. His physical play, going to the net, generating some offense, and then he scored that beautiful goal in game 3. Eventually, when they won in overtime on the goal from Tyler Seguin. So I look at those guys are trying. We understand that, but they need to be on the score sheet. Like if they get on the score sheet, then that Dallas has a hell of a chance of taking a stranglehold of this series.
Yeah, no Heiskanen are going to play tonight in Game 5, so that's still a loss for them. I agree with you about Jamie Benn. We'll see if Dallas can respond here in this game. I want to ask you quick, because I know you did one of the games of the Vegas Minnesota series, and that has been really a high intensity series. Minnesota's played so well. Give me your thoughts about that one as they go to Game 5. I believe it's tomorrow.
Yeah, I did Game 3. That was one of the two games that ended up 5-2 in St. Paul. Eriksson, Ek, and Kaprizov. They are difference makers. They're playing at that level that you have to get to. And obviously in game 4, the big goal there by Nick Watt in overtime. Both teams' role players or fourth line players have played really well in that series. For Minnesota and for Vegas, I think Minnie had the upper hand in the first couple of games in the series. But, when you can get your so-called fourth line guys involved and get a big goal like that. Bruce Cassidy changed his lines up. I thought he might change them in game 3, Gabby and EJ. He really did not, but he did in game 4. And I think it ended up making a difference. That was a makeshift line that was on the ice there to score the OT winner. So, a hell of a series. I think Vegas is looking for, Jack Eichel and Mark Stone to have a game. And if they can have a game, they can take a stranglehold of this series. Like I thought the other day in game 4, I thought that both Stone and Eichel played their best games consistently throughout the game. I thought they were very good in that game, and they eventually won that game. So just a hell of a series on both sides. And in Minnesota, they can play any way you want. You saw Foligno with the big goal. I think Ryan Hartman's had himself a heck of a series there. I think he's been so good in this series, the way that he's played without the puck. What he had, like maybe 12 or 13 shots at the net the other day in that game 4. He's been all over it. So I would not be surprised to see this thing get back to Vegas for a Game 7.
Well, when he plays within himself, he's very good.
Yeah,
it's only when he starts the outside noise starts to get to him. But he's a heck of a player.
And doing
but I really
things.
think in that series, like, there's emotional leaders and there's emotional leaders. I think Foligno's taken it to his best level that I've ever seen him play. Like, not only scoring, but he's doing all the little things and killing penalties, and they're really, for the most part, stopping the Vegas power play pretty in their tracks right there. Yeah. But I think this is a series that Minnesota totally believes that they can win in Vegas and they can take it home. I mean, to me, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, it is. I still give Vegas the edge, obviously, because they are going home and they have the best of 3 here. But you made the point on the power play, Gabby, and when we were doing a game on TNT, that Game 3 made mention where everything was from the blue line in, from the flanks in for Vegas, and I suggested during the broadcast is that maybe you got to go from the goal line out every once in a while. Maybe not be what you want to do, but sometimes you got to give a little bit of a different look. And sure enough, they started going from the half wall with Eichel down to Stone at the goal line. He missed Hurdle on a couple of opportunities. Stone took the puck to the net on one power play, and then they got another power play, and they never went back to the goal line. But they did make some adjustments in Game 4, and that's, look at Bruce Cassidy is one of the top coaches in this league, and it is all about adjustments. But they say it often, and Gabby, you were a power play guy for a long, long time. Like, the coach can draw up the plays. They can tell you how the penalty killing is going to set up, whether it's on your breakout or in the offensive zone. But boy, oh boy, like, if it's not there and you're out there on the power play, you got to be able to ad lib. You got to be able to go to plan B or plan C. And it may not be what you drew up, but if they're taking away the shots from the point or they're taking away the half wall, well, give them a different look. Pass the puck down low every once in a while. Go to the goal line. Take it to the net. Pass it, side to side on the goal line, and then bring it out. Because then it forces the penalty killers to do something else. I mean, most power play guys are probably in your top, 5 guys on salary, and they get paid the big bucks for a reason. You'd like to see them be able to, to use those instincts a little bit more. And it is all about adjustments, whether it's coaching, whether it comes with an individual. And you get to this time of year, you just don't know when that one time when a player makes a play that maybe is outside of the schematics, or we're talking about the power play, maybe the guy just makes a play because he thinks it more than anybody else. That to me is, I would look at something here as this series moves forward. And look, Minnesota has the same too when you have a guy, like Kaprizov, or you have a guy like Eric Sinek, or a guy like Matt Boldy, who is playing absolutely out of his mind as well. So it is, and who's going to be that one player that can maybe ad lib a little bit and make a play when you need it, and that might be the difference between going home and moving on.
Eddie O, we had big news today in the NHL with the Pittsburgh Penguins parting ways with their longtime head coach Mike Sullivan. I know you know Sully very well. You've done the million games that the Penguins have done over the last years, and you know him from even previous to that. Give me your thoughts about the change, because it was a little surprising to me, only because it seemed like it was going to be status quo.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the speculation seemed to be. But, obviously, I mean, this has got everybody's attention, throughout the National Hockey League. And, he's going to have his choices. I don't think that I don't know what his contract is or whatever. But, if there's retention and all that kind of stuff as far as salary. But he's going to be able to, I think, pretty much choose where he wants to go. I know there's lots of rumors and speculations, in particular when it comes to the Rangers and to Boston. That would be pretty amazing if he got a chance to coach his son-in-law again, like he did in the Four Nations for Team USA, Charlie McAvoy, and get a second kick at the can, in Boston. So this, Gabby, as you know, and you're living it, this gets people's attention when you have somebody that has the resume as Mike Sullivan, the success that he has had. And now that, now he is available, but like he's in a driver's seat here. I don't know if there's the appetite to jump right back into it, if there's a situation that, suits him or it fits his needs and his family's needs right away. So, he's got a couple of years left on his deal. Is that the speculation or is that so, he can sit back and, maybe he can pull up a chair and do some television there on the NHL Network or jump on the crew on TNT and, but when he's ready to go, I'm sure that there are teams. I think to speak, I think from experience is that you got to think that there are teams, fortunately or unfortunately, that have coaches under contract right now, that when you see somebody this massive become available, the reality is that if they think that they can go and get a better option, whoever that might be, not just because there are jobs open in New York and in Boston and in Chicago and in Anaheim, and again, not knowing the situation, what's going on in Vancouver right now with Rick Tocchet, there might be, and I would assume, because if I was in those shoes, making that type of a decision to sit there, goes, well, does this coach make us better? Does this coach put us over the top from within the organization's thinking? It's just not the teams that have coaches available. I would think, and I would hope that other organizations are looking. Look, I don't like anybody losing their gig. Trust me, I lived it in Pittsburgh. Gabby, you've obviously lived it a lot longer than I have. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. So when somebody like Mike Sullivan becomes available, it gets people's attention whether you have a coach employed or not.
Yeah, we saw that in St. Louis earlier this year with Jim Montgomery is a great example of that, where St. Louis went in a different direction. They grabbed Jim Montgomery. Eddie-O, thanks so much as always. I know you're getting ready for the Derby. Who's the winner?
Well, you can get all my picks all week long at twinspires.com. That's twinspires.com.
Where is that again?
Twinspires.com. Okay. The home of Churchill Downs, by the way. I'll give you the winner. You want the winner? Yeah. Gabby, grab a pen. Write this down here. Or grab your crayon there.
I got it right here.
What do you got?
Number 8, journalism.
Oh, favorite.
Okay.
If you want a long shot, I'll give you number 14, Tiz-tastic.
Tiz-tastic. All right.
It would be Tiz-tastic if he wins.
That's right. It would be. It would be. All right.
Wow. Hey, I didn't realize you were a wordsmith too there, Gabby. Way to go.
There you go. Look at we're already moving on. We love you, Eddie-O. Vezina winners announced today.
Good talking to you.
Vezina nominees announced today. Will Hellebuyck win again? We'll find out. Welcome back to NHL Tonight First Shift, presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. We got the Vezina Trophy nominees announced today. The award nominees are going to be announced day by day as the next several days go by. And not surprisingly, Connor Hellebuyck, two-time winner. I think he's probably going to win it again. He had an unbelievable season in the regular season. So far in the playoffs, been a little bit of a challenge. Darcy Kuemper gets nominated, as well as Andrei Vasilevskiy. So congratulations to the nominees. That award is voted on by the 32 general managers. Just for clarity for the viewers, what do you make of the nominees?
Well, you know what? It looks, everybody's anointed Hellebuyck as the winner.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when you look at those numbers, Darcy only lost 11 games and his goals against was 202.
Yep.
I think it's a little closer than, the voting is going to be a little closer than it looks, because I don't think the Kings are as good a team as Winnipeg. And the same as Tampa. Vasilevskiy has had a great bounce back year from what was a couple of years of injuries type thing. So, I mean, all of these awards, I think Hellebuyck will win it, but I think it's going to be closer than people think.
And that's why I like to point out that the GMs vote on it, because that's different from, the writers and broadcasters vote on Coach of the Year. I do think Hellebuck's going to win. I'm not sure what the margin is going to be, but that has been the case. And, the managers, it's interesting to me, Bruce, they focus on their teams, and they focus on maybe the teams in their division or in their conference. So their vote is always a little unusual.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see how it plays out. But I think Hellebuck will be
I think managers in the other conference, so they'll just go, oh, well, he's a better goalie than him, so he'll get it.
Yeah.
They don't study the numbers, I think, like reporters or people within the same division do.
Yeah, so we will see how it plays out. But congratulations to all three nominees. Now, Connor Hellebuck has had his own problems lately. He doesn't like the city of St. Louis, apparently, because you can see here, this is ugly. I mean, this is a guy that has had great numbers. Again, I think he's going to win for the third time the Vezina Trophy, but the storyline has been with Connor Hellebuck, when we get to the playoffs, doesn't go as well. And played okay. I don't think he was great in game one. I thought he was good in game two. But boy, he got pulled in both games.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen too often. But when you have a 720 game percentage, save percentage,
not good.
You're not going to win any of those games. So, I mean, he's got to get better. I'm sure he'll be better once he gets some home cooking. But you're right. Very surprising that he was pulled in both games.
Would you have pulled him
not
the second time?
Game, because at some point, I got a big belief in. My belief is, okay,
he's your guy.
He's my guy, but he's got to stay there and fight through it. I can't be giving him a break by pulling him when he's not on top of his game. So fight through it, get better, and then the next game he'd be, I think, back on par.
And so for the last 3 years in the playoffs, the total playoff number for Hellebuck, .863 save percentage. You're just not winning with an .863 save percentage unless you're playing behind a team that scores several goals a game, which he is not doing. That's not happening for the Winnipeg Jets. So listen. There's some have suggested maybe they go to Eric Comrie. They're not going to Eric Comrie. Listen, I think Eric is a good goalie. They are not going to Eric Comrie here. You're the coach. I mean, you've had those moments when, you had Doobie in Minnesota, right? If Doobie had a bad game or two, you were staying with him.
I wasn't going to Alex Stalock as much as I liked him. I mean, Dubnyk was the guy that played 60 games. He's the number one guy. He's the guy that's playing. You live and die with the guy that brought you there.
Yeah.
Very seldom does it happen where you put the backup in and he becomes the man. So you're gonna stick with him, and listen, he's gonna go to the Hall of Fame. He's gonna win 3 Vezinas.
Yeah.
And that's a Hall of Fame goaltender.
Well, you know what? Keeps coming up with .863 in the playoffs. That could be a negative.
Yeah.
That's a negative because
he might not get first ballot then.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because he's been really good. What do you see when you watch him right now? Is there any particular thing you see? They haven't played great in front of him. The Blues are very good. They've won 14 in a row at home now, so let's not undersell the Blues here. Is there anything you notice about things other than the pucks are going in?
Well, I notice his confidence is definitely lacking.
Shaking a little bit?
Shaking his puck handling. In his puck handling, you can tell it. He's not confident with his puck handling. You can tell it when he scores the goal in looking at the referee. Can you give me help? Was that interference?
Yeah.
Those are signs that the goalie's is battling a little confidence at this stage. But I mean, all it takes is one good save, 2 good saves, and you know what? Your forwards and your D got to get together and say, listen, this guy has pulled us out of the fire so many times. We've got to do something for him. Let's understand that the Winnipeg forwards only blocked 3 shots the last game.
Wow.
And they didn't.
Not a ton.
Nobody on their team blocked a shot in the third period. So they're not getting in front of pucks where they've got to sit there and say, hey, let's block everything. You look at some of these teams that are winning, they're not allowing any shots
Toronto
to get
Maple
to the
Leafs
net.
blocked 32 shots in Game 3.
And that's a key to winning in the playoffs. I mean, Torts would tell you when he won the Cup in Tampa, that's what they did. They blocked shots. No one could get through. And I think Winnipeg's got to almost make to a man say, hey, listen, we got to get in lanes. We got to do this and help our goalie out and see how it works.
The good news is it's been a homer series so far. The home team has won each of these games. As I mentioned, the Blues 14 straight at home. If the Winnipeg wins their home games, they'll win the series. So we'll see what happens there. Coming up next, it's getting nasty between the Panthers and the Lightning. Ow! Boy, that was a good bump right there. We're going to look at the Panthers and the Lightning. They get ready for Game 4 tonight. That's next on First Shift.
NHL Tonight, First Shift is presented by Navy Federal Credit Union, official military appreciation partner of the NHL.
Welcome back to NHL Tonight. First Shift presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. Another look at the schedule for tonight's games. That first one, it's very tasty. Both really good games tonight, but the Lightning and the Panthers down in South Florida, 7 o'clock start, and it's getting nasty. Bruce, you know it gets nasty when the coaches are chirping with one another, because we go back, Hagel hits Barkov, knocks him out of the game. Paul Maurice is asked about it afterwards. He said, well, we only hit players with pucks, right? So Hagel gets suspended. Lightning go on to win the game. At the end of the game, it gets nasty. Tkachuk delivers a late blow on Gensel, and John Cooper was asked about it. John Cooper says, well, we only hit players with pucks, kind of using the same phrase. So Paul Maurice was asked about the whole chirping back and forth. This is what he had to say.
John Cooper got asked about the hit from Chucky. And
Yeah,
he
chirped me.
Yeah.
I saw it. I'm at home watching the Senators game, and he chirped me, right? Which I appreciate. He used my own words on me, too. I mean, I'm not sure it was applicable to the events on the ice, but it was still good. Well done.
Does it add to the energy of the series and stuff?
Oh, God, I hope not. I don't. My wife had a good chuckle. I think she thought it was pretty funny, and I think the coaches probably, I'll have to take over the chirping at some point. It's kind of a lost art on the bench, so it was all good.
All right, the coaches are chirping.
Two of the best.
Yes.
Doing it,
Yes.
too. Like, I mean, they're both deadpan, and they can both say things and what they mean somewhere else, and, you know, like, but just say it and not put a smile on their face. So it's really good. And, like, I mean, this is quite a rivalry when you think of the Florida teams. They've been, between the two of them, they've been in the last 5 Cup finals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's anytime you can get a little bit of an edge in any way, you're going to try it in this series.
And so the Florida Panthers went to Tampa and handled business. And you see the hit there by Tkachuk, that was late. There's no supplemental discipline on that play. He did have the puck. It was a little bit late. Nobody was hurt, thankfully, so we move on. But the Panthers had it their way in the first 2 games. On the road, without Aaron Ekblad, they win the first 2 games. They go back home, they get Ekblad back, they get blown out 5-1. So what should we expect tonight?
Well, now that Tampa gets Hagel back, it'll probably be Florida winning.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, the way it's going. Yeah. No, first of all, both of these teams are too good to get swept.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you could lose the first 2 games at home. I don't think they care, either one, where they're playing. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have your crowd behind you, but I think coaches both know how to do the matchups as well as anybody in the league. And so I just think this is going to be a pivotal game, because I don't think either one of these teams can win 3 in a row. So, I mean, it's going to be whoever wins this game, to me, is going to be the winner of the series.
So how do you think Tampa got it turned around? It looked like the guy, you know, like obviously Kucherov had a better game. Gensel got going. I mean, is that just the key? Is just because they got behind in the game, it was 1-0, and they kept their composure.
They kept their composure, but their best players became their best players. Yeah. And, I mean, Kucherov got nothing. I think 1 assist in the first 2 games, and he wasn't visible. Now, all of a sudden, he's visible. Hedman's visible. Points visible. And they get there. And when you've got a team with championship blood in you, they sit there and they do that. They get mad. Now it's going to be on, you're going to see it on Florida's part. Yep. They've got championship blood. They're not going to want this to fester anymore. So, I mean, you're going to see a great tug-of-war kind of game tonight, I think.
I think we got a great doubleheader tonight with these two games, Tampa and Florida, and then Dallas and Colorado. Should be really good. I got to ask you about this weekend in Montreal, because I love the Bell Center. I love the passion. I'm glad the Canadians are back in, and they lived up to it. It was wild. It was crazy. The Capitals managed to win last night, but I want to go back first to Friday, Game 3, because the fans were revved up. That game had everything, and including kind of a crazy fight on the bench at the end of the period. The boys were going, Bruce.
This is something we haven't seen in a while. I like to think that if I was behind the bench, I'd be throwing punches at the Canadian guy myself. But I mean,
Bruce
no.
Boudreau suspended.
I mean, the way it all happened, it went from sort of nothing to Tom Wilson. He is a character in itself here. So, because there's no crying in hockey.
Well, maybe there is. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. That was that made the rounds on social media for sure. But Tom Wilson is a unicorn. I mean, and Josh Anderson is a similar player, but he's not Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson is big. He's fast. He had 30 goals this year, I believe. He can play in all kinds of situations in the game. He turned the game last night with this. I mean, that's a thunderous hit on Carrier.
That was as hard a hit as you're ever going to get.
And it led directly to this. Carrier, see him trying to get off the ice.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, boom, the
net.
puck is in the net. It's a tie game. So he's a game changer. Everybody says, oh, yeah, Tom Wilson's a bad guy. If you have him on your team, you love Tom Wilson.
There's not a team in the league
that wouldn't
in the
want him.
world that doesn't want Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a game changer. If he had stayed on the ice, and they would have blown the whistle, but he didn't. He got up, and the slow change allowed for Washington to come into the zone. They get Hudson and Caulfield instead of two defensemen chasing the one player, and eventually it goes in the net. So it was a complete game-changing, momentum-changing movement.
Yeah, no question about it. But that Friday night, that was crazy.
You love it.
I love
it. If you haven't been to Montreal for a playoff game, it's a must-see because they are loud, boisterous, and they're energetic.
They had a lot to talk about. You know, some of the Capitals media people, they were on social media today, and they were saying, you know, they were talking about what the experience was like, and they were like, we need to wrap this up in Game 5. The one guy said, it's a terrifying place to play.
Oh.
I mean,
It is.
It's passionate. This is outside.
Yeah. Listen, I've been in this situation exactly in Montreal when they were down 3-1 and they came back and won Game 6. We couldn't hear ourselves think that night in Montreal. So, I mean, if you give these guys a little bit of hope, you're going to be in trouble because that crowd is like a seventh man. They build you up. They're worth a goal a game.
Yeah, so 21,000 seats at the Bell Center. So that series continues on Wednesday, and if the Canadians can win, they could get back to Montreal. If not, the Capitals will sit there and wait for the winner of the Hurricanes and Devils, and could you end up with the Caps Hurricanes? They're both up 3-1.
I think they'll both. That's what'll end up happening. But both of those teams that are up 3-1 are hoping the other series goes 7 games,
right?
And they can end it tomorrow night or as soon as possible.
Yeah, there's some bad blood between the Caps and the Canes as well. So we'll see. We got a lot of hockey to play moving forward. But it was a great weekend of hockey. We got a lot more coming up this week. 2 games on the docket tonight. We got the NHL Now crew getting ready to take us up to game time. What do you like, Florida or Tampa?
Florida.
All right, there's the pick from the coach. We will see you tomorrow. You're back.
I'm back. Can't wait.
See you tomorrow.